Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this workshop. I'm just going to go through how to properly set up your QuickBooks Online. This is, specifically for agencies, but if you're not an agency, then you can still get some value out of this. This is the complete guide to financial management success. So what I'm going to do is kind of go through what QuickBooks Online is and then how it's most practical. And what we'll also do is we'll actually open up QuickBooks and at the end and go through exactly how it works. So, I think the immediate question is why? Why QuickBooks? Why not all these other services that are out there? Well, QuickBooks is cloud-based, so, you can access it anywhere, anytime. There's real-time collaboration between you, your team, maybe a bookkeeper or accountant. There are some really good like agency-focused features. So, project tracking is one of the really good ones. And there's time and expense management. So I know we're, you know, always trying to understand how much time we're spending on a specific project or maybe a specific client. So they have some pretty good features in being able to do that. And it's scalable growth, right? It grows with your businesses. There's multiple plans, there's multiple user accesses, and there's all kind of features that we'll go through here in a little bit. But to get started with QuickBooks Online, just head over to the link here. It's quickbooks.intuit.com. The great thing is they make it really easy to join. So there's like a 30-day free trial. You can experience everything and cancel within 30 days, and they won't charge you. So you can kind of get that test drive and seeing if it's going to be right for you. And there's also like 50% off for 3 months. So there's an intro offer. If you don't get the intro offer, try clearing your cookies and then reloading the page. You should get that 50% off for 3 months intro offer. And then there's, free expert setup. So QuickBooks now is starting to offer the expert trial to set up your QuickBooks for free. And so next steps is to just go to the webpage, sign up on quickbooks.intuit.com, choose the plan that, best fits you. There's multiple plans. Most of it is dependent on how many users that you'll have and what kind of features that you'll want. And then take advantage of, there's also direct lifetime discounts. When you're going through a certified QuickBooks Online advisor or accountant, you can get lifetime discounts through signing up with an accountant. So I think that's a really, advantageous way to get started is working with an accountant, someone that can help you and guide you along the process, someone that you can ask questions to and get, some good advice when you're setting this up, because this is going to be the foundation of your financial management. So choosing the right one, again, this is, it's dependent on how many people that you want to share this with, how many users you have. So, for someone that's brand new, I think the simple start, like the essentials plan, one of the earlier, smaller plans is probably best. It's easy to get started. It's up to 1 to 3 people. You can also add an accountant. It doesn't go against the number of users that you have. And then, if you need bill management, then this is the one for you. You can still send invoices. You can plan out your bills. So if you're brand new and just getting started, I think this is the perfect one for you. So for those that are growing, maybe you already have an agency and then you have a couple of people. Maybe you have multiple owners and maybe you have an in-house bookkeeper and a couple of people. So the growing agencies, for 4 to 10 people, I think the plus plan makes the most sense. You're starting to gain access to those project tracking essentials. You start to get some budgeting. I will say QBO does have a budgeting feature, but if you're just wanting budgeting, I maybe wouldn't go with the plus plan. I would consider maybe a budget off of QBO. And then when you grow into this plan, then maybe you can take advantage of some of those features. And you start to get some advanced reporting too. So you start to get better insights. You start to get, multi-dimensional reporting. And then those who are maybe a little more established, the advanced plan, 10 or more people, this is, what I would consider a fairly big operation. If you need multiple user permissions, team management, and you start to get some dedicated support, and then enterprise level reporting and analytics. So this is, taking it up another notch with some reporting. And, if you're really undecided, the key factors or number of users, I would say, is number one. Bill management. If you're needing more complex bill management, I would think this would help you determine if you need a higher level or not. Project tracking, again, that starts to happen on the middle plan. Reporting complexity, if you are wanting more customized reporting and some more robust reporting, you start to get a lot more reports as you go up in plans. And then budget considerations, take this lightly if you're new. and wanting budgeting, don't jump up to that plus plan just yet. I would consider keeping an offline budget for you. There's ways that you can actually sync into like a Google Sheets or something like that against your budget for the reports that you're running. So start with a free trial, test them out. I think, usually with the free trial, it's going to give you all the bells and whistles. But if you're just getting started and you need to send invoicing and you need to maybe do some bill pay, I think some of the lower plans make the most sense in the beginning. So, all those plans include accountant access. So just because you're new and you have the essentials plan doesn't mean that you can't invite an accountant. So highly, highly, highly recommend getting an accountant in the beginning so they can help you set this up correctly and take advantage of 50% off for the first 3 months. And if this is right for you, then that's great. You've already saved, you get 30 days for free and then you get 50% off for the next 3 months. Then it goes up to full price. I would recommend going through an accountant because you get the direct discount for as long as you're working with that accountant, right? So that's probably going to add up to more savings in the long run just because you're getting that discount for the lifetime. Okay, the first thing it's going to do is going to ask you a list of questions. What type of entity, your address, maybe your EIN number. So come with those things prepared. And then it's going to ask you a couple of personalized questions like what do you want to get out of it? What are you going to use it for? But once you get through the initial setup, the most important thing is going to be connecting your bank accounts. Link the checking, link the savings. It all is done through like your regular bank login. These are, completely at bank level security encryption. So, don't be worried about putting in your information there. And your credit cards too. Like if you have credit cards, everything, PayPal, include everything because that is the financial, management and the daily transactions that it's going to pull out of these accounts. So these update daily. QuickBooks will have some disconnections every now and then. It's okay. Just log back in, reconnect it. If it did update daily or that day, then you can just click the refresh button, everything gets updated and pulls in all your transactions. It's almost like a mirror. QuickBooks is mirroring every transaction that's happening in your bank, pulling in all that information that it can and putting it into QuickBooks. And this is when, we'll take it and we'll tell it, we'll tell QuickBooks which expense it needs to go to or revenue. The most important thing with those transactions, especially your expenses, is going to be to master these categories. So once you get those all imported, all your transactions are imported, you're going to want to set up your categories, aka your charts of accounts. Okay. So these are very, 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 very important accounts that you need to set up so that when it comes tax time, you're optimized and you're most efficient sending these to your tax professional. So set up your categories, create agency-specific ones to you, ones that are going to be most beneficial to what you use, right? So you don't want to have, the cost of plastic or the cost of paint if you're running an agency, right? So make sure they're the ones that are most specific to you. And then what you're going to do is you're going to review every single transaction from each bank account, each credit card, each PayPal account that you have that's related to your business. QuickBooks will import those daily for you, and then you're going to categorize them. You can also use rules inside of QuickBooks so that they can be auto-categorized. It's going to save you even more time. So some of the essentials, these are just a few of them, but for other agencies specifically, just make sure you have marketing and advertising. You can create sub-accounts. So maybe these are marketing and advertising. If you're a marketing agency, maybe this is where you separate what your client campaigns are, your social media tools, maybe that you use for your clients, and have an entire like cost of goods client section where you're spending money for your clients, but then you're charging them the ad spend, those types of things. But then you also may have a marketing and advertising for your internal operations as well, right? Because you're also running these same things, but for your business and not for other people's business, right? So you want to make sure those are separated. Software subscriptions is another one. I know we're starting into the world of AI and anything from AI design tools, AI project management, and you maybe have some web hosting and some other, monthly subscriptions. These are where you would put these. This is the category for those types of things. Pro tip, I like running a report and seeing these and seeing what I'm paying for monthly because we can forget about subscriptions, but if we go back and look at them, maybe we can catch one we're no longer using and we can go ahead and cancel that. Another big one's going to be contractor payments. I know we're using a lot of freelancers, specialists, maybe some temporary staff. This is a perfect category for those types of expenses. office expenses, your supplies, any sort of equipment. Like if you're needing some equipment, then you'd want to put it inside of office expenses with some maybe more direction on how much it costs. There's also some assets that you can put that in. Again, this is where it's important to have an accountant work with you, but you may also have some utilities. And if you have rent payment, then this is where you can put those payments. Okay. So the good thing about QuickBooks is that you can make invoices. This is how you get paid. Is you can customize these. So you can create custom templates inside of your settings, your invoice settings. You can add your logo, your branding, and make it look really nice and personalized to your business whenever you're sending these. And you can set all kinds of different payment terms. The default is net 30. Pro tip, I like setting these due upon receipt, meaning like pay ASAP, because if we're paying for our subscriptions and maybe our rent and utility due upon receipt, then we want to match that to how soon we get paid with our clients as well. We want to make sure that's mirrored. And then 3, just enable your online payments. So QuickBooks has this feature where clients can pay via ACH. They can pay through credit card directly from that invoice. So there's a link and a button at the bottom that says Pay Now. Your clients can click on it, get paid, and then QuickBooks will handle everything else. So long are the days where you had to have software and a separate merchant processor and trying to code and link all of these together. Those days are gone. QuickBooks makes this super simple where it's all done in one place. And then you got the other half, right? You got to pay your bills as well. I think one of my favorite features in QuickBooks is being able to forward emails. So inside of your QuickBooks, when you go to expenses and receipts, it will give you a very unique email address that you can forward all of your bills to. So if you have, maybe clients or freelancers are sending you bills, you want to make sure those are captured inside of QuickBooks. You can forward those to the specific email, and they will automatically get imported into QuickBooks. You can do a quick review, it'll import it, and now we have a bill that's going to be expected to be paid inside of QuickBooks. When you pay that bill, then when on your bank feed, it's actually going to show up as a match. And we can kind of look at that a little bit later as we dive into QuickBooks. But this is where you will be able to track and manage a lot of your bills. You can schedule payments. So if a payment isn't due until 30 days later, then you can go ahead and schedule that to be paid in 30 days, right? Or maybe 25 days. So there's a little bit of time to get the payment out there. So you don't have to pay right away, but you can set those due dates and reminders all inside of QuickBooks. And if there's multiple people and you need to have someone approve these bills, you can set up workflows inside of QuickBooks. That way someone gets the bill created, someone initiates the payment for the bill, and then maybe 1 or 2 people can go through and approve that as well. So that's a pretty cool feature of being able to have multiple approval processes. Okay, some of the benefits of when it comes to tax preparation, doing this and having a daily or at minimum weekly cadence of categorizing all of your expenses is going to help you at tax time. This will save you and your tax professional a ton of time and save you a ton of money so that you don't get those rush fees whenever your tax professional is looking at it and asking for all these different reports that you haven't prepared because you didn't have a QuickBooks or didn't have it updated, right? No one likes the end of the year crunch of getting all this stuff together and trying to things that happened 12 months ago. Don't get caught in this type of mess. So some of the benefits of being able to have those rules set up, you can automatically categorize a lot of things. Your expenses are sorted by tax categories. There's, deduction tracking year long. You can have your 1099 contractor management done inside of QuickBooks. So when you're setting up new vendors and freelancers, there's a little checkbox. If you enter all their information, there's a track contractor payments button. That's great for tax time because then you can go ahead and generate those forms and then you can have it sent all through QuickBooks. I love this feature. And then you can always have your tax reports generated when everything is completely reconciled and all of your transactions are categorized. You can pull up those profit and loss reports. You can pull up the balance sheet reports, anything that your tax professional needs, all from QuickBooks. So, what are some of these reports that are essential for your success? I think hands down, my favorite is, and I'm going to skip here, is the cash flow statement. This is what tracks your money in and your money out specifically. the money that affects your bank account. Because if you see, the most beloved report out there is the profit and loss, but it is not the most important. Okay? Your cash flow statement is. Why? Your profit and loss statement may not always be one-to-one to your bank account, especially if you're on an accrual basis. And even if you're on a cash basis, not every expense belongs on your profit and loss. And if it doesn't, it is on your cash flow statement. So that cash flow statement will show everything that comes in and out of your bank account within the certain time frame that you run the report. And it includes everything from the profit and loss, net operating, plus anything that's not included in the profit and loss. And the biggest one I know for agencies specifically is going to be owner's pay. If you're an LLC and you pay yourself, that does not show up on the profit and loss, though it will show up on the cash flow statement. So just because you may have profited $10,000, if you paid yourself $10,000, then you really made $0 in your bank account, right? Because that cash flow statement is going to show you creating $10,000 in profit, but then also your owner pay was $10,000. So your net cash in and out of your bank account is going to be zero. The next most important one is going to be your accounts receivable. This is where you're going to track who owes you money and if any are late. And this is a great report to run and get quick bit of information on who still owes you money, what money you can expect in the future, and if anyone's late, you can send them quick reminders from inside of QuickBooks. Same with the accounts payable. If you're forwarding or uploading those receipts and those bills into QuickBooks, you can do the same thing, but for your bills. You can see who you're going to owe next, when that money is going to have to be paid, and if you're overdue on any payments. That way you can create a prioritization schedule based on who needs to get paid next. All right, now let's do the first look for inside of QuickBooks, and I'm going to quickly log in to the sample account here, and we can dive through this together. Okay, now we are inside of QuickBooks. This is where everything happens. Everything lives along, you see the nice little menu set up along the side here. QuickBooks Pro tip is rolling out some updates, so we're starting to see a lot more of these AI features. So here we're looking at Craig's design and landscape services. This is the sample account they have inside of QuickBooks here, but we can quickly see all the different tips that we get. I call them tips. They're kind of like AI insights where we can see some overdue invoices. We can run a profit and loss report, and then here we see there were $2,235 payments made this week. So these are pretty good insights to kind of get a quick feel on what's happened recently in your business feed. And from this dashboard, it also creates tasks for you. So here I see there's a task to remind customers about 10 unpaid invoices, and we can go there and send them a quick reminder from inside of QuickBooks. Here I see there 4 overdue bills amounting to 87 cents. So we can jump to that section pretty quickly. So these are nice little shortcuts that QuickBooks creates tasks into, and you can create some of your own. But here is, to me, the most important one, which is categorizing these expenses so that we can have the most up-to-date information possible. What do I mean by that? QuickBooks will not show you reports until everything is posted to posted to QuickBooks. So you need to tell QuickBooks where to put these categories so that it can show you on your profit and loss, the amounts of each category. And this is a prime example. Here I see $8,347 of income, $6,992 of expenses, but already this is outdated. Why? Because I still see 8 transactions left that we need to review in income and 17 more in expenses. Do not trust these bars to be completely accurate until we've reviewed them. So what I like to do is the first thing I get into QuickBooks, I like going to this transactions tab and going to bank transactions. This is where everyone should start. Step 1 in how to maintaining a good updated record inside of QuickBooks is creating this habit. Daily is my favorite. Weekly still okay. So when you're in here, you can see all the accounts that you've connected. So here we see a checking account, a savings account, and a MasterCard credit card. The top is the bank balance that shows from your bank. So the bank balance is what information QuickBooks grabbed from your bank at the time of updating. Remember, I mentioned that update button earlier. If we see that this hasn't been updated, maybe since September the 1st, a few days ago, then we can come up here, click update, and get everything updated. Then we have the balance in white here that says $1,201 in QuickBooks. Why is this different? Well, it's because we have to categorize and tell QuickBooks where these transactions have gone. Same with the savings account. We see that there's one transaction that we have to review. And after we review it, then the goal would be that the balances match. So let's take a look here. QuickBooks is very intuitive. It sees that there's a match here for a deposit for $200. So this looks to be a good match. We're going to accept that match. And now let's do a quick refresh and see if these bank balances in your bank and in QuickBooks actually match. Okay, now we see everything in this bank account is matched. So what is the one thing that jumps out? Is the balance in QuickBooks and the balance in your bank account are not matched. That is okay. That is going to happen. I'll show you how to fix this later. Okay, let's look inside of this checking account here, and let's look at one of these expenses. So this is a landscaping company, and here we see A1 rental. These are bank details down here at the bottom. A1 rental, this is an expense. I see that $800 is spent. QuickBooks is going to try and guess which category or account, chart of account, remember that, is that this belongs to. So 9 times out of 10, QuickBooks is going to guess this incorrectly. That is okay. This is what we're going to change. We can also link this to a product or service and even to a customer or project if we are wanting to look at project profitability. For this quick example, we're not going to do that. We're going to keep it super simple. Just wanted to show you all the different options here. Now, I can see that we need to fill in the vendor, the account, and then the memo here. I'm going to type in A1 rental. I actually do not see a vendor already set up for A1 rental, so we're going to add a new one here, and I'm going to clean this up just a little bit so that it's A1 rental. Maybe our rep is John Smith. We'll type in John Smith at a1rental.com for the email, and here put in as much information as you can, because this will become helpful whenever you're wanting to send maybe a customer statement, or if you're wanting to send them anything from inside of QuickBooks, then this is where this would be important to have fully filled in. Address here, we'll do 123 address, street, in city, date, country. Now, I mentioned earlier that QuickBooks will track 1099 payments. Now, I know this isn't a freelancer or a 1099 contractor, but I wanted to show you this is where that box is. Super important that if we pay more than $600 to a contractor, that we're going to want to track all the payments for the year to that contractor. I'm not going to for this example, but we can also come in and we can set default terms, and then we could always run a report and see what our net terms are for our vendors, and we can negotiate these terms. And we can go in and we can finish filling everything else out. Hit save. We've already put in all of the what I like to call the good bones for the vendor. And now we're going to find equipment rental in our list of expenses. Here we go. Now we're going to tell QuickBooks, hey, this was an equipment rental from A1 Rental, and a memo. Okay. I like leaving a little memo here because it just gives extra context. If you ever need to refer this transaction for another time, leave it in the memo here. Okay. Now we click add, and just like that, now that is going to, we run a fresh profit and loss and cash flow report that is going to be updated. Okay. The last thing that I'm going to show here is these balances are different. If you remember, we categorize everything in this account, but the bank balance and the QuickBooks balance should be the same. What we do is we reconcile. We're going to take the bank statement from that specific account at the end of the month, and we're going to look and see every transaction that happened on that bank statement. Okay, now this is where we would go to our bank statement and we would look on every single line item to see and ensure that QuickBooks has imported every transaction correctly. Okay, so if there are multiple transactions here, we would just select them off as we see them on the bank statement until this difference is 0. And what is the difference? Well, it's looking at the beginning balance of $600 plus what has happened into the account within the month. Here we see it went up by $200. So 600 minus, there was 0 payments out of the account, plus $200 of a deposit. That's $800. And that is how you reconcile every single account. Okay. Once you have that reconciled, now you'll see your bank balance and your QuickBooks balance the same exact amount. And that's how you will reconcile every account. Okay. So that is the go-to guide for setting up your account Now what's left is to go through and categorize all of your transactions. Then you can go through and reconcile every month. And then that way every balance inside of QuickBooks and your bank matches. Now we can run fresh reports. Here, I'll leave you with where you can find all the reports inside of QuickBooks, but please feel free to use that 30-day free trial and play with QuickBooks. There's really nothing that you can do from QuickBooks, and this is a big misconception, that will move money from your accounts. QuickBooks does not have that authority. It doesn't have permission to actually move money out of your accounts. This is just to organize. Much like you would organize different files into different folders, it's the same thing, except we're doing transactions into different categories. Okay, so I hope you found this valuable, and hopefully this will give you an insight into how intuitive QuickBooks is. And obviously, if there's anything we can ever do to help you guys, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are a certified QuickBooks Pro advisor, so if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks.